are.
Is this it?
Yeah, this is it. This is it.
I'm glad I came.
We are too, John. We're glad you came.
We are. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And I think we have some time to do some introductions. And we have two folks who are here that we all know. Mary, who was with us, we're glad to have you here. And Fran Freimark, former director before Tom. So we're glad to have you all here. Are there any changes to the agenda? Does anybody have anything that they feel needs to be changed? All right. In that case, we will assume that it's been accepted. And we're hoping that Jim will be here. This will be his last day with us. His last day with Hanover is Friday.
Oh,
Yes.
No.
Oh.
He is going to Westmoreland County as their county administrator.
Oh, well, good for Jim.
I know,
I did not
that's what
know
we
that.
said too, but we have a resolution that if he comes in, we will do the
I
resolution.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, good for him.
All right.
I wasn't there at the meeting on that last meeting.
Speaking
Here he
of-
comes. He's walking.
Okay, we'll let him come in and then I'll,
We'll pretend you didn't say that.
well, yes, I was gonna say, it's all new. So, in fact, I'm just gonna sit here and kind of pretend until he gets in here so that we can do that. Pull this out.
Do we have to salute?
No, hell no. Excuse me. Oh, hell no. We don't have to salute.
Do we have to salute now?
Jim, before you sit down,
I'm going to amend the agenda to move it on.
yeah, we're gonna do it all that. Yeah. I'd like you to come up to the front. Oh, okay. We, as a board, would like to talk to you a little bit about the work that you've done with us. We have a resolution honoring Jim Taylor for his many years of service to the Pamunkey Regional Library. Whereas Jim Taylor has served as liaison between the Pamunkey Regional Library Board of Trustees, the board, and Hanover County Board of Supervisors and Hanover County government for the past 3 years, and whereas during his tenure, Jim regularly attended meetings of the board, supplied information to the board regarding developments in Hanover County that might be expected to impact the board and the Pamunkey Regional Library, and work with the library staff to help address issues related to library operations. Whereas Jim has always sought to balance Hanover County concerns with library interests, so as to help further a harmonious relationship between the county and the library, and ensure that the most effective operations of the library. And whereas the county has announced that Jim has accepted the position of county administrator for Westmoreland County, congratulations, and that he will leave his position with Hanover County on November 22nd, 2024, in order to take up his new duties on December 1st, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby recognizes the dedicated service Jim has provided to the board and the library over the past few years, and thanks and commends him for the same. Be it further resolved that the Pamunkey Regional Library Board of Trustees wishes Jim well in his new position and observes that Westmoreland County will be well served under his stewardship. Be it further resolved that the board always welcomes Jim's attendance in non-official capacity at future meetings and stands ready to provide him with any library-related information that might help him in serving Westmoreland County as Westmoreland County Administrator. That this resolution shall be in force and effect upon adoption adopted the 20th day of November 2024.
Wow, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
We'd love for you to.
Okay, wow, this is very nice and unexpected. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me, and you know, I came to Hanover County 24 and a half years ago, so it's really bittersweet for me because I love Hanover, and I'm sorry to to leave and leave so many great friends and colleagues, but it's a great opportunity for me to go to my new job too. I will still be living in Hanover for a while, so I will still be a customer, and so don't be surprised if you might see me showing up from time to time, or at Citizens Time, but no, really. When I was assigned the library several years ago, I didn't really appreciate what I was taking on at the time. We've been through a lot together, and so I know at times it's not easy, but I just want you to know how much I appreciate you all for your service and everything that you're doing for our library. Have a wonderful library system, and it's because of great folks like you who are giving the time and attention to it. So thank you very much, and if there's anything that I can ever do for you in the future, please let me know.
Thanks,
We
Jim.
are going to hold you to
Jim.
that. All right. It is time for Citizens Time, and Fran,
Yes,
we'll
thank you.
let you.
My name is Fran Freimark, and as Barbara said, I am the former library director, and I now know that I've known Jim Taylor for 24 and a half years. Congratulations,
Yeah,
Jim.
thank you.
I'm going to miss you, even from afar.
Appreciate it.
I'm here to talk to you about hotspots. I understand that you're going to be discussing hotspots later on in your agenda, and I live in King William. I want to tell you that I live in a place where there is no reliable broadband internet access, and very little hope of any anytime soon. I understand that Ms. Landrum's recently gotten broadband, and I'm glad that some people have it, but most of us in King William do not. And it will be some time before we do. I found this map online as I was looking to see the truth of the matter, and I'm going to give you each a copy of this. If you'll take one and pass it on. This is from the Commonwealth Connections website, and
Thank you.
you have to really see it yourself, but the pink is places in Virginia where there is good broadband connectivity. The white is where there isn't. And you will see King and Queen County is bright pink. They've got internet access throughout King and Queen County. And right next to them, a little to the east, is my county, King William. As you can see, it's mostly white. There is not broadband internet access available to all of our citizens. We use hotspots, and although the need for them, the pandemic-related needs for them, is a little different now, there is still a great need for hotspots in our county. I hope that you will take that into consideration as you decide whether or not to keep the hotspots. I will tell you that I believe hotspots definitely enhance the mission of the library, which, at least part of which, is to provide free access to information to all of our public. So much information now, and so much of being able to participate fully in modern life must be done on the internet, and you can't really do that without a hotspot or without broadband internet access. And I want to end with something that I heard on Monday night when I attended the King William Board of Supervisors meeting. The invocation was given on Monday night by Pastor White of the Providence Baptist Church. And he ended his invocation saying that marginalization of the weak, the vulnerable, and minority populace is a reproach to any people. And I think doing away with hotspots would be such a reproach, and I urge you to keep them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mary, did you want to say, since you're the only person? Okay, great. And in response, Fran, to what you just said, if you look just north, a little bit northwest of Richmond, you'll see another big white spot, that's Goochland.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Western Hanover too is.
Yeah.
Western Hanover too, right, exactly.
So there are some big holes out there. Thank you. All right, does anybody else have any responses to the citizens' time?
I do. Do you know when this was updated last? Because I also accessed this a couple weeks ago.
I printed this off yesterday.
Right, but I'm talking about the website, like
It
the
said current. I
Yeah.
looked at many different websites too,
Yeah.
Ms. Landrum, and
Yeah.
I urge you to look again.
Right, I looked at something called the BEAD website, and that shows something very different. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
All right. Let us move on then, and we will move to the consideration of the consent agenda. And the items on the consent agenda, we have the minutes from October 23rd, and I wanted to ask, we did not approve those at the work session, correct?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought, okay. And the minutes from the work session, November 14th, and then the board financial report, the warrants, the monthly deposit record, and the funds schedule. Are there any comments about the items that are in there?
I have a comment and then a question.
Okay,
My comment is, I just want to commend Sharon for her turnaround on minute time.
yes.
Getting us minutes already from the 14th of November. I appreciate your hard work to get that done. So thank you, Sharon, for your work as secretary. And then the other question I had is, I noticed that Hanover County's second quarter payment came in already. Is Hanover County starting to pay at the beginning of the quarter? Because I thought kind of their modus operandi had been end of the quarter, so I'm just curious.
They hired a new, someone in the finance department who reached out to me and said they were looking at changing the process.
Oh.
So it looks like we'll be moving more towards the first of the quarters instead of towards the end, ideally. I mean, they've also made some other changes now, so we'll see how that goes. But, I mean, they seem very excited. They were also very good at the job, so.
Okay, awesome.
But it was very positive. It was very, very cool. How else to say it? Like,
Okay, awesome, cool. All right, no, I was glad to see that. And then I noticed there was also some surplus income. Is that king and queen surplus? Where is that surplus income coming from?
$352.
Yeah.
That is from the sale of the 96 Dodge Caravan.
Oh, okay, from the vehicle. Okay. All right, yeah, I was just curious where that was coming from. Okay.
All right, do I have a motion to accept the items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, Bob has moved it. Do I have a second?
I do.
Okay, Sharon? All right. If there's no other discussion, then all who are in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so the consent agenda has been accepted, which moves us to the director's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. October statistical recap, we've had 462 new library card registrations, over 65,000 items have circulated in the month of October, and over 37 library visits to our libraries this past month. Some general comments, things that we're working on. Bibliostat, which is our annual statistics reporting to the state, has begun. So we had a meeting with library administration to begin working on that with the goal of completing that by the end of the calendar year and submitting. We have also submitted the FY26 budget request to localities, King William County's request. They requested the information by November 1st, which we met that deadline. Ken, Business Operations Manager, and I met with Goochland County this past Monday to present the budget. And we've also sent that budget information to Hanover County. Library administration staff, and we'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about the FY25 budget amendments, have met to discuss projects for completion this fiscal year. Sharita and I also attended Hanover County's, we were offered the opportunity to attend Hanover County's leadership retreat. It was great to meet with the senior leaders in Hanover County and work on ways we could partner with Hanover. I also attended the Capital Area Library Directors Meeting, which is a quarterly meeting of the region's library directors. Everybody seems to be working on its budget season and bibliostat, so those were common themes. A resource highlight for this month, it is November, so I thought it would be appropriate to talk about Vet Now by Brain Fuse, which is a resource that is provided to us by the Library of Virginia. It's a free resource with live coaching and just support services for veterans that it is available to folks through our website. You get there go through our website and learn and explore tab databases, and that is here. We served so far this year, we've had 19 uses of this resource in this fiscal year and had 72 uses of it last year. So there's a lot of information here. Live job coaching resources for resumes and resume templates, as well as coaching. You can ask questions, tutoring. It's a great resource for our veterans to use. So that is available on our website. We only had one news article come through pertaining to the library this cycle since our last meeting, and that actually came through on Monday. It was an article in the Title Order Review about a town hall meeting that citizens have scheduled in order to talk about library services in King William County. We had 3 associates hired at Montpelier and Ashland branches, only 1 associate separation from Ashland. A lot of great programming highlights from all of the branches. Too many to go through here. They're all included in the director's report, but a couple of very successful Veterans Day programs, notable outreach at the Ashland branch with the historic Brown Grove Baptist Church, a lot of positive feedbacks from there about library services. Atlee had a Veterans Appreciation Lunch that was a full house and pumpkin palooza. They've gotten a lot of interest in their 3D printing that they have highlighted in the lobby of the branch. Goochland launched the new locker service. As far as I know, no one's taken us up on it. However, we did not advertise it yet. So we started advertising the lockers this week on social media. So we're hoping that's going to garner some interest there. So the locker whole pickup is available at the Goochland and Mechanicsville branch currently. Hanover has worked with risk management for Hanover County since they're in the courthouse complex and did a successful emergency evacuation drill. They're very proud to have evacuated the building in 49 seconds. It is their first time, but therefore a record. So Mechanicsville also launched the new lockers. Montpelier, obviously first full month and then relocation. We're getting a lot of patron engagement and new library card signups. We had hosted Children's Book Week at our branches during Children's Book Week and gave out free books to everyone that came into the branch. Rockville's increasing their computer circulation. They're happy to have a new youth public services specialist that has recently started, and continue to have success with their Mahjong program for adults. West Point branch, a couple of facilities updates. They are happy with a new trash company that is being very good about cleaning up around the dumpsters and providing a nice entrance there, as well as they received the end panels finally that came in for the shelving units. Finances, FY25 revenue has been posted, including the second quarter contributions from Hanover County and state aid. Reminder emails were sent to King William and Goochland County contributions about King William County and Goochland contributions. King William sent their payment last Friday. Goochland has acknowledged the email, so we expect to receive their payment soon. You all have approved the FY26 budget, and we have presented it to the various counties. We look forward to talking a little bit later about the amendments to this year's budget. But overall, we're continuing to see positive, patron feedback, a lot of community involvement, and some implementation of those new programs and services. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
I just had a question. What's the process now with the Hanover budget? Are you just going to wait to hear back from them? Are you presenting to them at all, or?
We're going to wait to hear back from them. Barb Young and I have been asked to present at the Board of Supervisors meeting in December, so we're looking forward to that. Not specifically on the budget,
But just on the progress of Pamunkey. Yes.
I had a question.
Sure, yeah.
The IT networking attack that was featured under IT, what was that about?
Yes. Was it last week? There was some person that was pinging our ports, and the firewall did stop them from doing that. So that was resolved, as well as, Chris was on it immediately as soon as that had happened and closed down the ports and blocked that IP address that was trying to attack.
Any other comments, questions?
I would, when the bibliostat stuff goes to the Library of Virginia, could we see a copy of that too? I'd be curious what kind of information they're looking for.
Sure. Yeah, when we send it, it's a notarized copy to them, so we have to provide that to the board
That'd be great.
as well.
Thank you.
It's a lot of information.
I figured.
As we typically divide and conquer, which is what the meeting is about.
All right. Once again, very good report.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Are there any questions this month that need to be couched for the staff? This is an opportunity if we have things that we would like them to do for us. I think you all have been addressing things as they've come up, so we don't have any here. Ellen wasn't sure if she was going to be able to be here, but she also said she did not have a report this time. So we're ready to move on then to number 10, which is the standing committee reports. I know personnel and audits done for a little while, which is good. And personnel will not meet until December. So the only report I think we have is from the Finance Committee. And Barbara is traveling today to Ohio. And she said West Virginia is not the best place to try to get a phone connection with us. So she did not try to join us. So Christy is going to... Christy's going to give us the report.
Okay, just let me know.
So the Finance Committee met last week on Wednesday, November 13th at the Goochland Branch Library. A number of the things that we talked about there, we'll hear updates about a little bit later today, including the discussion about branch requests for funds from the fund balance. So that's a budget point we'll talk about later. We spent quite a bit of time talking through that with staff, and we'll hear about that later in our meeting. One of the other things that we talked about was having a formal motion to hire Ms. Schauber, the CPA, and Ms. Boyer was worked on putting together kind of a PRL contract for her, which you guys all received a copy of, and it's also in your packet from today. That's the financial management service contract that we'd like to go ahead and enter into kind of more officially. The last contract was just by email and was a little outdated, so we'd like to do that more officially. So shall I go ahead and make a motion?
Yes,
That we
we'd
go
like to have
ahead
a motion
and
for that.
execute this financial management services contract between PRL and Ms. Schauber, and we will ask staff to execute that for us.
Okay, and this is coming from a committee, so it does not need a second. Is there any other discussion about the contract that we're looking at to have with her? It's her hourly rate, of course, is $190 an hour, and it was for up to 60 hours, I believe is what we said. So, no other discussion, then I call for the question. Yes,
Just to,
yeah,
as you know, I've been a little bit out of it here.
that's fine.
This is just the help with the audit, correct?
Well, it's help with audit, and if we have other questions as we're working on, the overarching financial work that Ken occasionally will ping her to ask her questions and so
Okay.
forth. So,
Okay.
It
and
says-
so,
That's all good.
Under the scope of service there, in the middle,
did
there's
read
like
this.
bullet points. So she has offered to help us also with financial policies. When we get to the point of relooking at our financial policies and updating those, she's willing to provide advice and things like
Okay.
that. So the
Perfect.
GASB, when the rules change, she'll help us to implement those and come up with ways to implement those in kind of day-to-day life. So.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, then I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that passes. All right, we are on now to our old business, and the first thing that we're going to work on is policies, and I am going to, between Christy and Jamie, we have two policies. We worked at the work session long and hard on formatting. That was a big piece of what, and then we also talked about the two policies that we wanted to look at today, and I pulled out the wrong thing out of my packet, are the policy for the safety, and then the one that's for confidentiality. And those were to be set up in the format that we had talked about, and then to make sure that we were all still comfortable with what the content of those were. We did pass for those who were not able to be there last Thursday, we did accept the financial management services, or no, that's the wrong one.
Remote participation.
Remote participation, I pulled out the wrong thing out of the packet. The remote participation policy. And so we do, because that has to be passed yearly. The only big change on that was the fact that Ellen did expand it so it applies to committee work also. So if somebody wants to participate in a committee and is not able to be there physically, that they can be part of that. So, all right, I'm going to turn it to the two of you, and I don't know how you want to, for the two that we're looking at for today.
Yeah, I don't know how we want to do it.
I know that we didn't have the opportunity to get that into a draft form, either the customer service and safety or the other one into a standard format
Okay.
yet for today.
Okay.
That it might be best to wait until next month.
Do you want to
discuss.
table those then till next month, or?
Well, do you feel either of you have clear insight whether we're gonna keep the violations section in our standard? No?
No.
Okay, I just didn't know whether somebody else got an answer
Sorry, no, I
to
did
that.
not.
Okay, yeah, no, I think we should probably wait until
All
we
right,
clarify that.
so,
So we do have, Ellen provided us with the remote participation policy in, I guess that was in keeping with where the direction we're going with the standard format. So that could be something we could take a look at and see if there tweaks to this. And I've got copies
oh, good.
here
I was going to
as
say, 'cause I
well.
didn't see it in here.
And can put it up on our screen so that everybody can see it.
Okay.
Because currently, the format that it's in on the website was the old format with the logo. But this is the one that Ellen had drafted that has kind of the Roman numerals.
You want to just pass them down?
Wants to say, yeah.
Okay.
And we had it.
Is this just being passed out now?
We approved this one at the work session last week.
Okay.
And it has been, you know, we've had it for about 3 or 4 weeks now. There were not any changes made to the verbiage.
Correct. It's just strictly changes to the format.
So at the work session last week, we talked about what sections do we want to have under each policy. And so we came up with, we want obviously the title, we want the purpose,
understand.
requirements, implementation, and if there's applicable law. So that's basically all staff did, was to put these, to put the policy into those sections for us, so that
Gotcha.
it's standardized
Gotcha.
across all our policies.
Gotcha, thank you.
Christy and I had talked a couple days ago about the title and whether we wanted to have a number with that. And when we first defined this, we said that's what we were going to do. We were we want to make a dynamic table of contents. And in order to make that dynamic table of contents,
You approve?
we have to use a style, is what, if we do this in Word, we would use a style for the title. And what's going to happen is every single title is going to have a Roman numeral 1,
Yeah.
which we don't need to have. So we were thinking, we had a breakdown, and I did not, and I apologize, this last week's been a little crazy. I did not send people the organizational chart that I had put together a while back, where we talked about general policies, and then we had personnel policies, and we had finance policies, and driving policies, and there was one other category, and I don't remember what it was. But we talked about maybe what we could do is we could do, for the title, we could do, like if they're in the general section, we could do G dot, and then not a Roman numeral, but just a 1. And then the next policy would be G dot 2, and so forth, so that if we wanted to refer to those policies in another policy or in another document, we could say it's G.1 policy, rather than having to write the entire name, when we're referring to it. But it would also eliminate us having a Roman numeral 1 on every single one of them. So we talked about that, trying to do that. And that came up after we had said this was what we were going to do. So, but that will work, especially if we're doing, like I said, if we're doing a dynamic table of contents, that when somebody comes into the table of contents, if we've got it set up correctly, they can click on that title and it will take them directly to that particular policy. Okay. Do you want to make any other comments on this?
No, I mean, I will say typically when we're referencing, your source of the policy, it will, personnel policies, and then you go into the Roman numerals and the letters after that. So I think that in general, you would already state, already kind of had the need to state, even if you said G1 library policies, that you're going to state that it's library policies. I don't know that,
Adds to it.
right. But
Okay.
it might be more, it might just be easier, those, personal policies, and then your Roman numerals follow suit after the title of the general policy.
Which would mean purpose would be number one.
Right.
Yeah.
Requirements number two, and so forth, yes.
Just a way you have to distinguish the titles. Yeah.
So,
It's a work in progress.
it is, but I feel like we've come a long way. We really have. And we are going to, one of the things that we talked about setting up was the log, the change log that we will put together. We're not going to try to do a change log until we have the policies all revised, and then we'll put a change log in there that if we go in and we say we're going to make a change to Roman numeral 3A, 3I on the remote participation policy, that would be then documented. It would be documented with the date, what the change was and why the change was made, so that we can kind of keep track as we're moving through. We will always put the revision dates at the bottom of each policy, but it doesn't give the detail that a change log will give us. So, does everybody
Yeah.
agree with that?
Sure.
Okay. Bob, you look,
No,
okay,
I'm
you're
fine.
okay.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, I wasn't sure, okay.
It is, it's great.
All right, is there anything else that you two would like to?
I just want to mention, since the remote participation policy was approved, it is on the website in its current format until the changes.
Right.
But it is current on the website now.
Great. Okay, I think we are okay then we will table the rest of the policies then until we have a chance to do the final work on them. Everybody has been very, very, very busy, and I do know that. So, okay, the second thing on old business is the hotspot discussion, and Fran has helped us start that. And Sharon, I'm going to turn things eventually over to you, but one of the things that you had asked us to do was to go back to our counties and talk to them. I did talk with our county administrator about this. Vic Carpenter is our county administrator, and he indicated, he said, I said, can you give us numbers of people who have gotten access to the internet? And he said no, because he said the companies will not give it to the county because it's proprietary data. And I don't know why. That's what he said too. He said, I don't know why it's proprietary, but the county, the Verizon and I can't remember the name of the one, Firefly is one of the companies that's they're laying lots of cable, but if you look at the map, and this was what he said also, he said, there's an awful lot of folks in Goochland County who still do not have access. And I hear people say, well, the people in the east end of the county have access, but not the west end, but that's not the case. There's a lot of, like we have access now, but we live in the courthouse now. So, but we didn't have access when we lived in Crozier. So he felt that there was still a need for the hotspots in Goochland. He said, people are still using them. And I said, well, we're not talking about just getting rid of them. That it would be a phasing out if we did, but he just felt like right now there's an awful lot of people in Goochland who don't have access. So I did check on that for you, but and I don't know if Hanover. I don't know if any of the folks in Hanover have any idea.
Well, I know we had asked Mr. Taylor at the last meeting if he had any insights into that, and I think you said there were lots of delays, was the...
It's been slow going, but they're doing a groundbreaking as we speak out in the eastern end of the county. I say groundbreaking, I don't know if it's on poles or in the ground, but I think there is movement, and it's looking positive, but we're still a ways away. I think in particular in the western part of the county, with really getting to where we want to be with it. So it's still gonna be a little while.
Yeah, can I ask Jim?
Yeah.
Jim, when is it, do they have an anticipation date of when it's going to be hot?
For the eastern end, or?
Hot, I'm sorry. I used to be in this business, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When is it going to be turned on?
There is, I can send you the timeline. It's rough, but I can.
Oh,
send you
I know
the
that
timeline.
date. I know that date moves. I've
Yeah.
project managed these things, so
Yeah.
I know that date can move.
So, let me see if I can get that for you.
Okay.
There's also a website called connecthanover.com.
Yes.
And there's a map on the front page, the loading page, that has construction and service estimates on it. Now,
Yeah.
whether those are accurate or not, I don't know.
Right.
Right.
But there's a lot of movement going on now,
Right.
like in this fiscal year through the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Oh, I know, and I can verify when Jim says that, excuse me for a second. As you know, in the east end of Hanover County where I live, they've been running a lot of cable, a lot of it's underground, and they have been installing what they call the handholds. The handholds is not a manhole, it's a smaller device. It keeps everything underground, so a car that runs off the road doesn't run over the pedestal and knock everything out of service is basically it. So you don't want to destruct fiber. Fiber can only be spliced so many times. And through my working in the system, I can tell you that it's hard to get the companies to tell you what it is called their take rate is, because the take rate is confidential to the companies because it affects a lot of things, and it particularly they use that to compare themselves to their competition.
So
It's
what exactly is the take rate?
The take rate is, it's easier to think of it as water and sewer. The take rate is think of water and sewer. If you happen to live in a section that was on septic and they run the water and sewer by, you get your chance to hook up if you want, or you don't have to hook up.
Right.
Same thing. The take rate is they run the
wire.
new facility,
Right.
the fiber beside you, and you get a chance to hook up right at that moment, or you can hook up later, but it's always cheaper to hook up right when they go by, and people pass it by. They may have a satellite system, they may have whatever. They may they may be on Comcast. Comcast is calling them up, offering them a deal, right? They don't want them to lose them. Take rates are critical in the business. It gets into the business side of it. Now, if they run it by people that don't have it, the take rate usually is high.
At least according
But
to
it's not. It's surprisingly, it's always not. It's never 100%.
Sure, there's also other options now with satellite
Right.
and, yeah.
Satellites and other things.
As far as...
It's up, of course, it's up to the individual.
Yeah, so Hanover doesn't sound like we have any numbers. I did some research in King William we have two providers. We have All Points that deal with the northwestern and the southeastern end of the county. And I spoke with the Vice President of Business Development. He said it will be done by the end of the year. They're servicing 2,236 households through a particular initiative called VATI. BreezeLine is the competitor, and I could not get in touch with them, but they did report to the Tidewater Review that they will be done by August of '25 and will service 1,500 businesses and households through the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. And then he also informed me of a third program called BEAD, which is Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. It is Virginia's opportunity to finish the job on extending broadband access. And this is going to take like several years, but that's like the smallest. You know, we're going from the biggest to the smallest. One concern I have, and I mentioned this before, this all took place during COVID. It's over. What did we do before then? People, you know, could access it through other means, satellite, a mobile hotspot of their own, going to a facility like a coffee shop, or going to the library. You know, the access is there after hours. You know, I called T-Mobile and Verizon as far as their hotspot plans. Do you realize T-Mobile charges $10 a month? And our expense, from what I was looking at from prior conversations on this, ours was $14 per circulation. Does that mean $14 for 2 weeks for each person? So it doesn't make sense to me to require taxpayers to pay for this. You know, I'm paying for somebody else's use of a mobile hotspot. Verizon charges $35 a month on their prepaid plan for a mobile hotspot service. So I just think it's not a wise use of our taxpayer funds. I think if we're concerned about internet coverage for our county, this is a function of the county and not necessarily the library system. I feel like it's a function of social services, as I said before, or the schools, or perhaps private organizations, you know, or Ruritans, or some service organization, or even Friends of the Library if it's a pressing need. But I think, you know, King William is developing. We're getting, you know, more business into the county, which will provide some internet availability. And I feel like if a person can afford 2 Starbucks, then they can afford a T-Mobile wireless mobile hotspot service. Also, my other concern was that we don't track individual unique users. And I'm like, why? Because whenever you grab information, can't you get that information? When we print, when we use the printer in a library, we require people to pay. So if we're going to continue, you know, I've heard the discussion, you know, there are still spots in the counties that don't have access. If we're going to continue this program, then I think there should be some skin in the game of customers, just like with printing. So those are kind of my concerns. And just wanted everyone to be aware.
Well, look, Shannon, not to be argumentative, but, you know, the county is in the game. Our funding comes from the county.
Right, but I think it should be redirected. If we're concerned about underserved, then I think it should go more towards social services or some other department.
Well, I'm not sure, I don't know. We have, and what I'm saying is, if if that's what we need to do a more comprehensive investigation. Is social services available to provide this service better than the library? And we don't have any evidence at this point that they can. And I know that this map will soon be all orange. When this map is orange, we can stop doing it. It's not orange now.
This
And
is, we don't know when this was updated.
Well,
It could have been last
I'm-
year.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
I'll grant you that, we don't. But but I know what you're saying, and we don't need to provide services. But, you know, we don't need to provide services that are just being taken advantage of inadvertently. But I don't think this is the case at all.
But do we know? How do we know? We don't have that information. We have no information that says that people aren't taking advantage
Well,
of it.
but to say that, you know, we were at the point, you know, I was here when COVID hit and some of these other things hit. And I was coming to meetings or going to the library and see parents and children sitting in a car, with a car running, and children doing homework at 9, 10 o'clock outside of the library is unacceptable.
Right, and that's over.
It is unacceptable. Well, COVID is over, but that need is not over. That
What did they
need
do
is
before
not-
COVID, though?
They sat in.
Before COVID, before any of this program was
Before
instituted?
COVID, the need of broadband existed before COVID.
Right. So people adapted without us providing mobile hotspots.
Well, it
Well,
comes.
the library took advantage of.
It's a bigger,
Funds,
it's a
right.
bigger issue.
Mhm.
It's a bigger issue. It goes back to the take rate. The cable companies had a sweetheart deal when they got the
The money.
the approval from Congress to provide it.
And now
When
we're
they hit-
stuck with.
Well, when they hit the rural areas, they could say, there's not enough houses here, bam, it stopped. It's not like the deal that was in electricity or telephone. Electricity and telephone was required to run facilities. Cable was not.
I think,
Because at the time when they were doing it, it was for television.
I
You
was just
know,
gonna say, I think that
We're
part.
we're trying to fix something and identify something that is a lot bigger than hotspots to help the citizens of our counties.
I do think that, you know, when you say what did we do before, I'm thinking in terms of schools. Schools were providing the internet access at school, and, you know, children did not have to have it. And, you know, even I think in terms of our daughter and son-in-law and their 2 children, when all 4 of them were trying to access good internet access, our daughter finally started working out of her school, you know, just because they couldn't support all 4 of them working on it, you know. So I think COVID brought up issues that were not there before. And, you know, that, but I think hotspot has just, hotspots have been one of the ways that things were addressed. And again, as I said, when I spoke with Vic, he said there's still quite a need in Goochland, that he felt very strongly that there's still a need.
Madam Chairman, can I ask a
Yes.
sort of a follow-up to what you just said? So he said there's quite a need. Fran said there's a need, obviously, in King William, and Sharon has her own information, which is not exactly the same. But from the standpoint of you, where he says there's an existing need, and Jim is saying that there still is a need in Hanover, all right? I want to know, is there information within both of these counties to tell us when that need will go away from the standpoint of what Joe is saying, people being available to them so that they could use that, take advantage of what is being done. Then you can make a decision sometime down the road of when this program is no longer necessary.
Right.
And Madam Chair, I might be able to help with that too. I found the graphic, we did the State of the County presentation this month, and that presentation is on the Hanover County website. And there's a nice graphic that looks like this, is called Connect Hanover, and it shows that for 2024, Brightspeed, which is in the western part of the county, has construction underway. All Points Broadband is in the eastern part of the county, and that's what we're doing the groundbreaking for today. In Q4 of 2024, Brightspeed home connections begin. Okay, so that'll continue for the next 12 months. In Q1 of 2025, All Points Broadband home connections will begin. And that'll continue into Q3 of 2026, where according to this, it says All Points Broadband home connections complete. So I think that's probably maybe what you were looking for is, and that's probably optimistic, but according to this, we're expecting by Q3 of 2026 for everybody who wants high-speed internet to be able to get it. Now, I will say that I learned recently that we wanted to make this available to anybody who in the county who wanted it. I heard that there's still about 5% of our population who somehow have missed out on this. And so even when we're done, so to speak, I think there's still maybe a handful of folks who still want it. And we have to figure that out. You're one? Oh, no. So,
I am one of those 5%.
Oh, sorry.
I live in a Comcast service area, but it does not come down the private road, so they're really not sure when that might be available to me.
Right.
But Madam Chair, if I may, I did send some information to the board, a lot of information to the board about circulation stats of hotspots and the Chromebook bundles. And, Library administration was talking about trying to add hotspots to our, circulating services before COVID hit. We had spoken with Sprint and several others. When COVID happened, there were a lot of federal grants and opportunities that we took advantage of to, provide those hotspots. Since then, we've reduced them because we, don't have that federal grant funding. And we've assessed, the usage. It's still a popular service for us, circulating service. Over 100 holds on Verizon hotspots. We have more of those, so those are going to process more quickly, and 140 holds for T-Mobile. So it is certainly still a service that customers are using. It also, the holds are staying pretty steady, which I feel like means that we have dialed back the amount of hotspots to still have a good circulation ratio of hotspots that we're paying for to circulation to serve the people that are interested in this service, which is boils down to access to information, which is why it really does pertain certainly to library services, but also we were talking a lot about need. But, part of the mission of the library is to also serve wants. We collectively put our funds together to provide things that enhance people's life. I've heard of people saying, we take the camper out to the campsite on the weekends, and we'd love to take out a hotspot so that we can have some internet access with us there. And we do that for all of our services. There are probably certainly people that could purchase all of their books on Amazon, but choose to take advantage of this collective resource that we have to help make things more affordable for themselves as well. So we need to look at it from all points, and my recommendation was that library staff are constantly evaluating our offerings. Do we have the right amount? Are we offering enough? That we would expect that our amount of hotspots will decrease as the need as we see those hold ratios kind of go down, that we are, evaluating it and feel like at this point in time that we have balanced enough to make it a service that we can still provide, and not make it so that people are waiting, several months before they're able to access it, too. So I think there are a couple of considerations.
I did also do a little bit of research online, just looking at some of the other library systems. And we're not the only that provide hotspots.
Oh, no.
There's a lot that are providing hotspots. I didn't research how, in depth, how often and who and, that kind of thing.
Well, Sharon did
I
some of
did.
that research.
I
Yeah,
did.
you did
Yeah.
some of that,
Mhm.
so.
And the reality is that we have a lot more hotspots
Like
than
almost
other
double
counties.
or more.
A lot more.
And I think that's a good point that Sharon raised, all right? Are we doing this and not considering the other needs of the library? And I think that's we should always keep that before us, all right? And I think that what you're doing and evaluating when these things will be available, though, there's some people probably that, I don't know what their situation is. I'm not going to talk to everybody out there that's using a hotspot, but it's probably very valuable to them right now. And I don't feel like they're taking advantage of us. This is something that they're using because either like you're saying, it's a service that they do need, or they may just want to be able to access information for enjoyment. Right?
But I think that the fact that E-rate has decided to cover funds for hotspots, both equipment and for the data in FY26 is indicative of the fact that this is a service that, libraries can take advantage of. I think you'll see some of the smaller rural libraries be able to afford more in FY26 or afford hotspots at all, based on the fact that they're going to get reimbursed for a significant portion of that. And likewise, we will see a reimbursement in FY26. So if we maintained the level of hotspots we have now, we will not be, paying, it will not cost as much for us to provide the same level in FY26 that it does this year.
So Sharon mentioned the fact that the library does provide certain services that people pay for example, printing, copying, I'm assuming faxing. Do we pay for faxing? Do we still
We
fax?
do, up to $5.
Okay.
Typically, those services are to offset the cost of the consumables
Right.
for those. We don't have any services of circulating materials that we charge for usage of. So, your books, your meeting rooms, computers. So the printing, faxing, you've got, costs for cover sheet, staff time there, and obviously for printing, for the paper and the ink.
What would be the logistical challenge of charging, for example, $5 per hotspot borrowing period, which is 2 weeks?
I think it will change our service, model, free access to information.
Well, I mean, the reality is I had no idea the library provided hotspots before I became part of the board and started listening to discussions. There's obviously a small portion of the population that knows that those hotspots exist. And I actually have a friend who's used them before. And she told me basically her family gets on both lists because you don't know what's going to come first, right? So a lot of that is duplication probably between the Verizon holds and the T-Mobile holds because people are on both lists waiting for one of those. She recently told me she no longer needs them because she's gotten broadband at her house, which is great. So I definitely think we need to be keeping an eye on it as time goes on. I would be in favor of requiring some kind of skin in the game that, we say per usage, it's a $5 fee for a hotspot. For me, I'd love to have it to go camping, but at 100 holds, there's no way it's going to get to me going camping at the right time period, obviously. So there were a lot of different library systems where there were actually not as many holds on their things. So you could just go in and say, I'd like a hotspot. And that was like automatically, there and available, which is a better situation if it's really there for people who want to go camping and use it and stuff like that. So, and I'm concerned too that it's not just being used by a very small portion of the population. It is a big expense per
Right.
month for one item.
Right.
And so I'm concerned that we use that money wisely for all of our users, not just a
I mean,
few.
I think in the perspective of our books and materials budget, it is a very small portion of the over $7,000.
Isn't it in the equipment budget?
But we have to chip away at things incrementally to just, to figure out what is the best use of funds. And even though, it's compared to books and materials, I still think it's a sizable amount of $48,000 a year. I live frugally, and I think this is a want that is not necessary.
Even though that we've talked about the underserved people.
Yes,
and-
I do.
And bridging that digital divide for folks that may not be able to afford.
I do. I would suggest financial counseling. I'd be happy to help anybody that feels like this is a need that they have. I'd be happy to counsel somebody in their financial situation and help direct them to these, to whatever services they can have.
And I am curious about the numbers for the hotspots. I've looked into them personally. I feel like maybe that $10 might have a data cap on it.
No, yes, it does. That's the
Yeah.
35, and the higher one for Verizon is 60. The T-Mobile, $10 to $50. I think that's very reasonable compared to satellite or, some broadband providers. I think that's very doable. Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
Is our negotiating with Verizon and T-Mobile done through the contact that we have? Like, are we under the same umbrella as all the other libraries?
Correct.
Okay.
There are a couple other providers, but these were the two that provided the best coverage for our service area.
And that's negotiated by the person from the Library of Virginia, is that right?
Not currently.
No,
That is
not
just a
currently.
contract between Verizon and T-Mobile Wireless.
And
with-
Pamunkey Regional Library, okay.
But it is a custom rate. It's not the rate that you would go out to Verizon and get a hotspot for personally.
So I guess my suggestion would be, we do know that counties are moving forward on some of these projects within the next 2 fiscal years. So my proposal would be that we revisit this prior to creating the next fiscal year budget, and that we do some more evaluation to see where things are at. Again, I would be in favor of having a fee associated with usage. If we're talking about a $5 fee, that actually, together with the E-rate, would offset that cost completely, I think, correct?
It would. I mean, my concern is to pick and choose particular services that we are charging for usage.
Well, there's
of.
no book that we loan out that costs us $30 a month to have.
But a particular, if there are unique users, which, we know that there are people that have this need, so they are using this service. But we have, people that only check out books or only, check out digital materials or reserve meeting rooms for use, so that we are, in essence, targeting a particular patronage.
Do we know that how do we know that the people that are checking out those hotspots are within our service area? So our counties that support us, do we have any people that are checking them out that are outside?
Did I provide that statistic?
I only saw the 4 counties.
I was to say I guess we can say it's not king and queen residents, but I would be able to pull numbers based on users outside of our counties, that reside outside of our counties.
But it's something
That would be
physical
useful.
that they have to come pick up. So we know it's not somebody from Southside Virginia, but it's
Southwestern, yeah.
Southwestern Virginia, but it's, it could be somebody from Henrico or somebody from Chesterfield.
I'd be happy to run that, run those numbers. I mean, I believe Chesterfield and Rico both provide hotspots.
They do, yeah. Chesterfield has 87, Henrico has 140, yeah.
And what do we have?
We have 105 Verizon or something like that.
Saturated.
And
We have
We have
176.
176 total.
total. Mhm.
We're not proposing in FY '26 to increase that number.
And if you look at the map, that we have here, that Chesterfield and Henrico are pretty pink.
Yeah,
They're, so they don't have as big a need either, I don't think. I find it amazing that Fluvanna, it's almost all pink. All right, any other discussion? Sharon, do you have some more?
No, I mean, no more discussion. I guess I would like to perhaps make a motion that we discontinue the hotspots or charge for the hotspots. Is that possible?
Yeah, it's very definitely possible to put a motion up, yeah. So, is that your motion that we it's an either
I'm new
or?
at this, so I don't know quite how to to do the motion, but yeah, I feel like we need to make some decision and quit kicking it down the road. Yeah, I'd like to move that we consider discontinuation of the broadband or consider charging users.
Okay, do I have a second for that motion?
second?
Okay. Any other discussion towards the motion?
Madam Chair, I certainly don't think we, with the evidence we received here today, not this evening, I'm used to evening meetings. Today, there's enough information that's contradictory to the work that Shannon's done. She's done a lot of work.
Yes.
And I'm not disrespecting that at all, Shannon. Please understand that we've shown that there is still a need for the hotspots, and as far as putting a fee on a service that we're providing, with the little bit of discussion we've had today. Again, I will say this: if we will start putting fees on things that we are providing, this needs to be done at a much larger level and go through a comprehensive review of this board of where we're going to start doing this and what we're going to put fees on. We just can't hurly-gurly start dropping fees on something that we think if we start doing that, we have lost sight of what the purpose of a public library is.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like to support what Joe just said. I think that there may be instances where the library system may want to have the ability to provide hotspots well into the future that we don't even know, all right? Because of situations where people cannot connect and access information. And I'm not sure, I mean, Sharon's done a lot of homework here and provided a lot of information that I was not really aware of. But I think that to make that decision in her proposal, we're probably not prepared to make that black and white decision. I think that's what Joe is saying. I think that we can, maybe in a year, or even less, all right, but going into the budget year next, for 26, be able to be a little bit more definitive on where this is, access to broadband is available within our Pamunkey Regional Library footprint. And maybe we can say that you only want to spend so much money and allow people to know that. And they should be prepared to know that the library only has limited resources, and there may be other places that we can apply this better for providing more access to more information to other people rather than with the hotspot system. But allow them to have a chance to say, it's coming to an end where anybody can come in and get one, all right? As Sharon is saying, 2 cups of coffee and you pay for it, all right? And we don't want to subsidize that kind of a habit, and I'll call it a habit, all right? Because they're not using their own ability to handle that. But I was very sensitive to what Fran was saying. There are people right now that don't have it, all right? And I just don't think that we can make a cut and dry decision that we will do that. And they may not be able to pay for it. I don't know. I'm not there to understand what people's financial wherewithal is. I do see where when people were saying, well, students are having to go out in the car and keep it on and stuff, that doesn't do well for me. If we can buy kids Chrome notebooks and give everybody something like that, then why isn't the school doing that with hotspots? Here, have a hotspot, have a Chromebook or whatever else. I don't think we can get into that kind of a discussion, really. If it's for homework, then the school system should be paying for it, all right? And not the library system.
And they did during COVID.
Right.
The school system provided hotspots to kids.
So I think
And
that there's
did.
apples and oranges here in a lot of this discussion, and I think that we need to be very specific. But we are limited in the amount of money that this institution is going to be able to have and grow. And this is changing right now very, very rapidly as to the technology that's going to be out there. We're going to have to invest in that. We still don't have a 5-year plan. I'm really upset with that. I can't make those decisions. I want to be able to make those decisions on some real honest analysis and input of information in order to do it too.
Okay, yes.
Madam Chair, I just want to, we do have a 5-year plan in place, and I just, the recommendation of library staff is to maintain the hotspots at its current level to serve the folks that have this need, and let us continue to assess the need and manage that appropriately. I believe it is in keeping with our 5-year plan to provide and help with meet the needs of information. And also one of the core values for staff were to provide and support and advocate for free access of information. And I think that providing the hotspots as a service does exactly that.
All right, are there any other comments or questions for the motion? If not, I will call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say
No.
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 No? No. Okay. The motion did not pass. Now, that does not mean that we shouldn't continue to study this. I think
Could
we
I
need to...
Could I make another motion?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
I would like to move that we approve the hotspots in the FY26 budget, which we have already done. And we ask staff to track individual users of hotspots. And we ask them to look at reducing hotspot levels for the FY27 budget based on the county rollout levels and the potential for introducing a fee-based system. Potential for introducing a fee-based system.
I'm sorry, I couldn't,
Sorry. Want me to read it again?
yeah, read it again if you don't.
I move that we approve the hotspots in the FY26 budget as we've already done,
Mhm.
and that we ask staff to track individual users,
Track.
not, but.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. and look at reducing hotspot levels for the FY27 budget based on the county rollout levels, and for the potential of introducing a fee-based system.
Do an analysis of the 27.
Yeah,
Do
that they,
do
when
a
they do,
report.
when they do the
Do a report.
FY27 budget.
Do a report to come back to us with what they see, not necessarily a report that's going to say reduce. Come back with a due diligence that,
Right, well, we're gonna assume that the county has rolled out a bit by next, right? Or we're not
Right.
assuming that?
Right.
I'm not, it's Jim's
You're
last
out of
meeting
delays,
on us, I'm not going to
delays,
pick on Jim. Because,
Blame me when
Oh, come on.
that's right, I'm not going to pick on Jim, but, you
So
know,
you're taking issue with my reduced hotspot numbers based on county rollout?
I would rather it didn't say reduce, I would
Okay.
rather say do a report.
Adjust hotspot levels?
Adjust hotspot levels as
Based on the,
as may be required.
based on,
If the need has been met, we can reduce them.
okay, I think we have a
I
motion.
mean, it all comes
Jim-
down to the need.
We need a second before we can
Second.
really discuss this. Okay, we have a second. Okay. So Christie has a motion that has been put forward. Is there any more discussion on the motion?
Okay, would you mind if I do a motion to say, give us a report on the estimated need for hotspots rather than a reduction?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's been modified.
So can you state that again?
Are you okay with that, the second?
Actually, can I make one comment, because it might change the alter the motion a bit.
Yeah.
We do not currently have a way to track unique users in our integrated library system. We would need to explore the possibility of being
Okay.
able to track that number. So
Okay.
I can't make promises that we would be able to do that. Okay. We can review the
We will
motion.
review the motion, yes, that's a good point. So I'll let Christie finish
Give me a second.
rewriting this.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's fine, I want you to have time to do it, so we know what we're voting about.
Okay,
Okay,
so I'll read it again?
yes.
And I'll give you a copy, Sharon, so you, okay. So I move that we approve hotspot usage as proposed in the FY26 budget. And we ask staff to explore tracking individual users and to research county rollout levels and make suggestions to hotspot levels for FY27, as well as look into the possibility of a fee-based system.
Possibilities is the what?
A
As
fee-
we look into the possibility of a fee-based system.
for hotspots.
No. I can't vote for that, because,
But, well,
but it's a motion.
it's a
So that's-
motion,
That's the
Okay.
adjusted motion.
okay?
So what?
Bob, are you comfortable with seconding that? Well, you can second it and vote against it. I mean, it's not, you know.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll
Okay.
second that.
And then that way we can have
Fine.
some discussion.
Yeah, I think that we're getting into things that are too specific really right
Right.
now. I really do,
Right.
but that's okay.
Can you explain what you mean
Well,
by too
As
specific?
I said, I'm not even sure that we should be in the hotspot business, but I don't want to discount it because there may be instances out there where a school system cannot offer the assistance to do what we can with these hotspots. I don't want to just throw them out, right? Or there may be I'm an old person, so I can say old people like me, right, that are totally, restrained on ability to access information for pleasure or other use or whatever, and I can't get to broadband still, right? I don't know who they are. So that would be a good thing for the library to be able to have. You might put a fee in there, like you said. I wouldn't be against that myself, but I think this is just too many ways that people can obtain access, that it's a moving target, and I think you need a little bit more understanding of the interconnection of that. But right now, I think we've got the best thing going, right? We've got these 175 hotspots,
And I
and
think,
they're in our budget, so that's okay. We've done that, all right? But I do think that the next time we have a budget, we need to have a better sense. Is this the best way we are spending our money for the overall vision of this library? And I don't want to disagree with Jamie in public. I really don't. We don't have a 5-year plan, period, all right? We've sort of done some band-aiding in order to say that we've got something to evaluate and move forward. I don't see an in-depth evaluation of this library, all right, moving forward in the next 5 years. I don't.
we have it on the,
We have it on the agenda,
schedule.
right, we
Yes,
have it on the
to do
agenda, but we still don't have it,
We don't have a revised plan.
right, a revised plan,
Yeah, we have a plan, but we don't have a
revised plan, right.
We have a plan. We have a
I
plan.
should have used revised.
Is there
Yeah, we
any
have a
other
plan.
discussion on this motion? If not, I will add a piece, and that is, I do think that this motion is looking forward to doing research before we make a final decision. It's not a decision, it's not saying in FY '27, we are going to do this.
Okay.
It's saying that we are going to do the possible exploration of users, we're going to be looking at a possible fee structure. It does not mean that we're going to do any of those, but it is giving us some way to,
The motion is written in a fashion that is too directive to what they want the decision to be made. It's talking about
Then
applying a fee.
that's your decision on the motion.
It says as
Yeah.
well as look into the possibility of applying a fee.
And see, again, I will go back. If we're gonna start applying fees for services that we are currently providing for free, it needs to be a comprehensive review, just like the revised 5-year plan, that we evaluate the entire system of where we're going to do that, what will become free or what will become paid.
And I think, again, that is
And
your
I-
opinion about the motion,
Right.
okay? Are there
Well,
any, is there?
no, that's my opinion about the operation of a public library.
But this, we're discussing the motion right now, okay?
Okay.
And if you don't agree, then you can vote against it. But what I'm saying is, this is the motion that has been put forward and seconded. Is there any other discussion about this motion? All right, in that point, then I will call for the question, and if you'll read the motion one more time for us.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I move that we approve hotspots in the FY '26 budget, as we've already done, and ask staff to explore tracking individual users and to research county rollout levels and make suggestions to hotspot levels for the FY '27 budget, as well as look into the possibility of a fee-based system.
All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
The motion has passed, and it will give us the opportunity to do some exploration, some further exploration. I know Sharon's done a tremendous amount of work on this, so. Okay. Moving forward on our agenda, I think we are done with hotspots for now. Under the new business, you'll see a resolution for Jim Taylor. We have already done that because we didn't want to do it without you being here. And then the second thing on the new business is the FY25 recommended budget amendments. And I'm going to turn to Jamie for this.
Thank you. This is essentially the same presentation that we provided for the Finance Committee meeting last week. And we went over some details about kind of a narrative about how we would like to allocate funds in this fiscal year to certain projects. And then we followed up. Ken will come back with the numbers at the end to show you how that would be plugged into the current budget. So our presentation today is an overview of the primary areas that will allocate funds in this budget cycle. In September, we had a meeting with all of our management team and had a brainstorming session to really identify the range of services and resources and improvements that we wanted to explore. We kind of categorized those ideas and then had a meeting with library administration to refine them, select projects that we felt like were achievable within this fiscal year. So we focused on those initiatives that enhance both internal operations and community-facing services and looked for ways to repurpose technology wherever possible to make sure that we were being efficient, reducing costs where we were able to. So we have some main funding categories. The first one is technology investments. So we would be replacing our aging laptops. So all of our branch managers, librarians, and library administration have our laptops here. They are aging. And the branches currently have iPads that are also becoming obsolete. We propose kind of sunsetting the iPad replacement and replacing those with branch laptops, that there would be one branch laptop in each one of our branches for them to use for programming and for work off the desk as well. We're proposing docking stations for laptops at our staff desks. So instead of having a PC to maintain and the desk and the laptop would basically be your PC. So we've got some cost savings with that as well. We will take the laptops that are currently held by the staff and repurpose those to replace our aging laptop lab. So this is important because our laptop lab is outdated. We're not able to update the software anymore. And we have these great new Cricut machines, and we want to do these programs with our customers. If you're not familiar, it's in the crafting world. You can do lots of vinyl cutouts and a lot of neat projects. We can't use our current laptop lab to do that. So we need to update that so we can use that. Our laptop lab is used throughout the system. It travels for classes, genealogy classes, lots of different opportunities for programming. Let me know if I'm going too fast, but I felt like.
And I have a spare copy of that if anybody needs a copy. Do you all have a copy?
Be happy to entertain questions as we go through or at the end, either one. We have some necessary updates needed for our network equipment. We have faster internet speeds at several of our branches, but our switches are holding us back. So we need to update those switches so that we can increase the speeds there, as well as need to update our wireless access points. Currently, we're not able to capture our usage data on our Wi-Fi, and that's really an important statistic is, more people are switching over to Wi-Fi from computer circulation, so we would like to be able to capture those numbers, and the new wireless access points will allow us to do that. Very minimal one, but I think will have a large impact on our marketing, is to provide the library staff with Canva subscriptions. If you're not familiar, Canva is a flyer making software, and that will really enhance our flyers and our marketing materials in our branches there. Early literacy stations, we have these at every one of, well, not currently. They're not at Montpelier or one other branch. So these are children's computers that are desktops. They also come in a tablet version that have preloaded content on them. They don't go out to the internet and provide kids with activities and fun in the branches. Several of our branches are seeing over 200 uses per month of these. They're very popular. Parents, feel comfortable allowing their kids to explore these computers on their own, and we're proposing to replace those in our branches. The ones that we have, the newest ones that we have are from 2017. As well as at our Montpelier branch, there really isn't a space in the children's area for a desktop, so we're looking at those tablet options too, so they come in both formats. That rounds out the technology investments. For furniture and equipment, we are exploring the AEDs at all of our branches. Our coach recently donated an AED to Goochland. I know Hanover County Works and Rec just provided AEDs at all of their locations. It actually saved someone's life at Holgreen?
Yes.
At Holgreen Park. So we would be putting these in all of those locations. I've also heard from Hanover County Social Services that there's also some options to provide Narcan co-located with the AED. That would be an option that we would likely want to explore as well. For new services, we are looking at putting together outreach kits for events and some branded materials. Everybody likes to have something to get from your table, draw people in when you get there. So the outreach kit, we're talking about putting together just kind of like a bundle where you've got the table, promotional materials, acrylic displays, all of those things all bundled up, so when our folks go out to Spooky Fun Fest or other community events, that they are ready to go. These would be shared amongst all of the branches. We've been really doing a lot of outreach opportunities recently, so this would be a good investment there. Another new service would be digital access to the Richmond Times-Dispatch. If you have a Richmond Times-Dispatch subscription, it's very expensive. We do provide Richmond Times-Dispatch in print form in all of our locations, but this would provide historical access as well as current access 24/7 digitally. Would not have to be at the branch to read that. Museum passes, we're still working on an estimate here. Several libraries provide this. We already provide the nature backpacks, which are provided to us from the state, where people can check out a nature backpack and go visit a state park and not have to pay the fee. That is the way the museum passes would work. So we're trying to get some quotes from Louis Genter, the Science Museum, all of those, to see if we can work with them to provide a circulating museum pass that people can check out and use with their family.
Would that include BMFA?
It's pretty.
I guess it could if maybe for particular
Exhibits.
special
Yeah, exhibits or something.
exhibits.
Mhm. But VMFA is free, but they have
Well,
exhibits that come in that are.
exhibits, all the
yeah,
exhibits are
right,
free.
Right, I know.
Right.
That's what she's saying.
Yeah,
So,
okay. Yeah, I know VMFA,
Yeah, yeah.
it's free, but the better exhibits are free.
Right.
I know that several libraries recently have worked with science.
My
the
wife
Science
and I have been
Museum.
members for years.
Fair. We'll talk a little bit about the repurposing, but the outreach van, when we get to fleet and services, we'll talk about a new delivery van. But the idea here is to have an outreach vehicle. We would be repurposing one of our older vans for this purpose. The cost would be to wrap it, with some fun, engaging graphics. And we would be able to take this out, participate in parades, take it out to community events as well. Our staff are currently using their own vehicles. We would be able to provide this for them to use for those events. Kind of in conjunction, the next category is facilities, maintenance, and fleet. Mechanicsville branch has had a significant lighting issue in their children's area for quite some time. It's been exacerbated by the fact that some of the ballasts are starting to go bad and they're no longer able to be replaced. I'm going to need to work with the county on providing an accurate estimate because what I have is old. But it would be a replacement of all of the lighting in the children's area, which would be a significant cost there. But a necessary one that really needs to be moved on as soon as we can. So hopefully we'll be providing some quotes for that to you soon. Some book storage solutions and displays. This is what we would be talking about this for the majority, if not all of our branches. The mag boxes for magazines and newspapers. If you have visited Atlee, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or the new Montpelier branch, they're the acrylic displays. It really draws people to the collection, a very nice way to display the newspapers and magazines. We don't have that currently at any of our other locations, so we would be wanting to get those there. As well as the box books, so those are the read-along books that have the read-along part, the audio part is embedded in part of the book. So it makes it very difficult to shelve because one end of the book is a little bit thicker than the other end. So they do make specialized shelving for those there, as well as board books. More of like a browsable than acrylic, which will help our youngest customers be able to, flip through and basically just tear out the books. But no, I mean, we want them to be able to use them. And it does really create a nice visual display of those. Something that we are working on currently is a postage meter for our interlibrary loans. Our staff, library admin and collection strategy are very excited about this. Very, very excited about this. But this would also allow us to increase our interlibrary loan capacity because currently our staff are having to go to the post office, take staff time to get that done. We'd be able to process the postage and mail them out of collection strategy, which would be great. And then the new delivery van, which we have 2 Sprinter vans and the 1 caravan that Asian caravan from the 90s, the 1900s, has been surplus. So we would be talking about purchasing a new delivery van and then repurposing one of those Sprinter vans as that outreach van. I mean, our delivery vans, they are aging, so we're starting to see, obviously, some more maintenance costs associated with those. And finally, these are major projects under the restricted funds that we really want to start working on. I was excited to work with Jim on it. Hopefully we'll be able to work with his replacement. But we have those restricted funds for Atlee and Ashland that we want to put to use in enhancing those 2 spaces. Those would be more major renovation projects at those branches, but we'd like to see movement on those within this year. There's a summary in your report for all of those most of the items that I have listed here, minus the ones that we need to get some updated quotes on. But it gives you an idea that we really have considered how we want to spend this money and use it, efficiently and to improve and enhance our services. This is where I turn it over to Ken so he can show you the numbers, as long as there's no questions about.
Before you do,
Sure.
I'd love for you to share with everyone how you came up with all of these suggestions.
Okay.
Because it's wonderful to hear the teamwork that you're doing.
We did. We had a good September managers meeting, and we put everything on the table. Not everything is listed here. We realized that we didn't want to bite off more than we could chew. We probably already have with this list, but it's better to, I think, to kind of a little bit exceed, what you think you might be able to do, and see if we can get it done. So there's certainly some things to keep us busy over the next few years as well, but we had a good time kind of putting them together, putting everything out there, and then starting to segment them into categories so that we felt like we would be able to pick a few things from each one that would be achievable and not just kind of target one specific area. And then that's when library administration, so a smaller group got together and started to pull those items out that we thought were doable within this fiscal
I
year.
think it's very exciting that this is from the individual libraries, when they, like she said, with the managers, with ideas of things that they would like to see happen, and then to compile it into this list. I think that's important too.
Yeah. We have, I know I probably say it every meeting, but I do mean it. We have a great staff. They're very motivated to move on a lot of these projects and get the ball rolling. Ken's going to show you the money side of how this kind of pans out in the amended budget. Are there any other?
Is there anything that Mr. Taylor can do to help us with this Mechanicsville lighting issue?
Before he leaves.
How do we move this forward?
We have some movement. Facilities is certainly aware of it. We just, I think it will be very helpful for them to know that the library is supporting the cost of this to be able to move it forward, I guess, with the county.
Sure, I'll be happy to follow up on that in the next few days. There's another item at the Mechanicsville branch regarding the fire alarm sound system that we're also working on.
Yes, the fire alarm, it does not make an audible sound currently, so it is something that we need to get fixed. However, there's a plan for a meeting between the fire and facilities for us to find a workable solution for that.
I just saw that the branch manager mentioned the lighting issue in her report too, that with the building getting darker sooner, it's becoming a more major issue with not having enough lighting back there.
It was whether they did the foot candle studies or not, when we moved in, it was dim. But, it was workable until now. Several of the lights are just not. We can't replace the bulbs, so it's becoming more of a
Whatever we can do to.
concern. Thank you.
I have a question, and I'm not sure if it's to you or Ken, but maybe you can help me. Under furniture and equipment, AEDs, aren't there grants for that? Are there grants for that somehow? Do you know? So something that can be pursued? I think there are.
There may be, we could certainly look into it.
I would probably start with the health districts to see if they have any grants. We worked with Three Rivers Health District to get the blood pressure cuff, and King Queen, that is now the West Point location, so they may, there have been some donors.
We have a citizen donate $25,000 to purchase 5 of them for parks. So
Nice.
there may be opportunities, if you put the word out, people might step up.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Also, I think the Friends of the Libraries have some funds. So.
Some of them more than others.
Any other questions for Jamie? Okay, we'll move on to Ken.
So we got an awesome list, and then we asked ourselves how we're going to pay for it. So I guess we will talk about budget amendment. So a couple things with the budget amendment. One, with budget amendments, we want to recognize any revenue we didn't account for coming in when we voted on the budget, and we have new expenses. One of the goals this year with the budgeting is not to grow the fund balance. So, this is what we estimated our fund balance would be back in June when we started. Doing this process earlier allows us to recognize that revenue and recognize spending and ideally get it spent so we're not growing the fund balance. I will say, big scope here at the end of the day, we're probably not shrinking it as much as we'd like, but it's a start. We got to start someplace. So small bites, projects that we can conceivably get done and finish out before the fiscal year. So I will start with the revenue. After the budget was passed, the preceding month, the state did come in and amend their state aid. So we do need to recognize the $65,625 there. We did have, thanks to the consultants at E-Rate, where they were appealing denials on old grants where we weren't funded. They were, I think this was the third attempt, they were successful for funding that we had spent back in previous fiscal years towards equipment needs, $100,001. So we need to recognize that. The big amount there of $665,096, this is sort of a recommendation that comes from audit and working with Ms. Shavers. And this is the idea that we go ahead and recognize donated services coming from the localities so we don't have a large variance in the audit on the budgetary comparison scale at the end of the year. So what we'll do is recognize the revenue, and you will see down here later, spoiler, recognizing the expense as well. So it's an equalization, it's a net to zero. And I can show you when we're looking at that final table where it really jumps out in the audit that is sort of a sore point for us. And then finally, we have other revenue. Some of this is donations from friends groups and reimbursements through friends groups throughout the year that we're estimating. The other part is we are starting to see, if you look at the financial packet for this month, income earnings are starting to come in, and we're a little low on that estimate in the budget. So once again, try to correct it now so we can spend it now, so we're not growing the reserve fund at the end of the year.
And that's interest, right?
That's interest.
Yeah.
And we have for 26 revised those numbers anyway and increased it. So this is just sort of a true up to get us where we want to be going forward in regards to recognizing that. In regards to expending out the money, these are the projects and whatnot that Jamie mentioned. So we are increasing the books and materials budget. We have a small increase on the contractual side in regards to how some of this stuff is maintenance and maintained. We have a large increase to the equipment budget, which is where the things like the laptop lab, the furnishings would come into play. There is a minor adjustment there for insurance, where we were a little low when we paid the insurance bill. There is an adjustment there to renting facilities. We were in the Mount Pillier facility slightly longer than we needed to be, so we are having to true up for that with the delays of Mount Pillier opening. The supply line, we're increasing. This is primarily the outreach materials that we were speaking of and Jamie was speaking of in the presentation. Telephones, once again, this is mainly the install and the changeover happening at Mount Pillier because it didn't happen, wasn't budgeted when we passed the budget. Then they came into us, they gave us the install bill, and we do have a new pricing because Mount Pillier has way more bandwidth than what we had previously at the old building. We've got the contribution to locality, which is actually just truing up some of the stuff that crossed fiscal years with West Point's renovation, where the bills did come in later. For instance, I think it's mentioned in the director's report, the end cap shelving. literally just got installed, I guess last week while I was gone, so we need to take care of that. Donated services, once again, that will match our donated services amount above because that's an in and out entry. Utilities, one of the things that we had in FY24 was we were under budget on utilities in 24. We really used the same for 25. Gone ahead and made that correction here for 25, so we won't show it as being quite as off. Can't guarantee I'll be right on that, but I shouldn't be $20,000 off. In correcting that going forward, we have corrected that for 26 as well. And then vehicle expenses, this is the estimate. We're looking at the repurpose of the van, and we're looking at a new van, just sort of an estimated cost, but we would work with Hanover Fleet for insight and guidance. They seem to be very excited about that, so that's kind of exciting. All in all, our net change, we are spending $76,344 out of the reserve fund. Like I said, so we are lowering the reserve fund, not as much as we would like. We also have other projects on the board, that will help with that hopefully as well. But this gets us a good start, so we can go ahead, sort of pursue the formal quotes on these projects, and get it going. We are at November, we'll be in December. The window starts to become short to get, all these items, 5 pages worth of items done. Is there any questions in regards to the budgeting?
I think it would be good to add too that from that reserve fund, we are going to maintain $500,000 for contingency.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
We're not even close to touching that. Or still restricted funding for Atlee and Ashland. I mean, we're really just sort of scraping the bare surface off that almost $2 million we have in assigned funding for branch projects and projects of this nature.
Are these the last expenses we expect for West Point for the renovation project, or are there still outstanding?
I believe that will just about close us out. I don't know of anything else pending.
Okay, so I mean, at some point I'd love to see kind of a final, what the library contributed to that project, and I would also like to see kind of overall what that project cost West Point, just to get an idea of
Yeah,
financial.
I think the last estimate I had, they were about $550,000. We were, had 76 and another 18. I mean, we're still looking, no more than 100,000. I'm having trouble with math right now, but definitely under the 150 that the library, but we can have it all finalized up now that we.
Okay, that'd be great, thank you.
Anything else?
Any other questions for Ken? Okay, thank you, Ken.
Oh, I will, just so we can see it here real quick on the end. What we're talking about with the donated services is when we do the budgetary comparisons, because we don't budget, we don't have a final budget, it sticks out over here, which really kind of throws off and sort of helping us, particularly as time will go on, when you're looking at records management and the only thing you have to fall back on are your audits and your budgets, to sort of figure out what happens. Like, we take this number out, we get a much truer look at, like, okay, we had a little bit more than fines and penalties, and we had a little less maybe than we thought in donations, but more in interest rate. So it gives us a better sort of storytelling, particularly years down the road, or to people that don't, just the public in general, an understanding of how this works. If there is a change between year to year, we'll also have that variance here, which is quite helpful. It's data we keep now and we discuss with the auditors behind the scenes, but we'll also be able to sort of track that, or somebody could on their own actually pull the audits and track that year to year to see, donated services go up 5 to 7% each year from localities, which is kind of a good place to have the information because the way it is accessible. So that is the recommendation that's been passed on us that I fully support.
Okay. And you might want to say that we had seen this in the Finance Committee.
Okay. Okay, so this presentation that was just given us by Jamie was, and Ken, was presented to the Finance Committee. And so the Finance Committee is recommending that we move forward and approve the FY25 amended budget as it was just presented, and allow the staff to get moving on some of these projects that they've identified. So I will make that motion that we approve the FY25 amended budget as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
I'd like to ask, the new early learning stations, like what age group does that apply to?
It's really focused on 0 to 5. There are some games for early elementary, but it's really more of the.
Was that at all discussed in the finance
Yes,
meeting?
and we actually saw pictures of it, I
Yeah,
think,
right.
even. And they're, we
Actually had one.
even got one of those.
Actually,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we actually
that
had
was-
one.
There's a link to the early, to the website on the document.
Because I didn't know what they were talking about either.
Well, it's 32,000, and for me personally, I feel like early childhood, I've heard many psychologists and psychiatrists say that a lot of screen time is not beneficial to their neurological development. So I'm like, oh, I have a problem with that. Yeah.
As I said, we cannot be able to show. Oh, that's the tablet option.
That's okay.
Our
That's okay.
solutions. And we leave that up to the parents to make that decision if they want their
Right.
children to utilize this. I know some of them, this is their, their access to a computer, that they don't have that at home.
Right.
That they use this limited, there are limited sessions, like 15-minute sessions, and then it times them out so that we can give other people, we only have one at each branch, so that I give other kids the opportunity to utilize it.
So it automatically limits their access, yeah.
So it's 15 minutes a pop, and then they renew it for another 15 minutes?
They
and that's okay.
could, like,
Okay,
it will end their session, they could log back in.
Right, okay. Yeah.
No one waiting, like, the all-in-ones are touchscreen as well as keyboards. It's really interesting, the young folks gravitate immediately to the touchscreen, and you see the parents using the keyboards, but.
Okay.
They were big hits with my boys at the library.
They what?
They were big hits with my boys when we went to visit the library.
I think the option of providing something that the parents know is not accessible to go out to the internet.
Okay.
Like, because all of our other computers, full access.
Okay. And it's just there at the library, it's not to be checked out?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, just want a little
Extra
bit
perk
more
of going to the library.
information. Okay, thank you. Answer my question.
Okay, any other questions about the motion? If not, then I will call for the question. And the question is that we adopt the amended budget for FY 2025. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. All right. Is there any other business that we need to take care of? There is one piece that I would like to bring up, and that is the status of where we are right now with King William, and especially since we have Fran and Mary here.
Madam Chair, that was a question I was going to ask. I know that y'all attended a meeting. I didn't know if that needed to go into closed session, because I know some of that has been asked to be confidential or not.
If we do that, we would have to add to what we're.
Well, I know
what
we'd
we're
have to
planning on.
add.
Yeah. And that is fine. What
I'll
I
let
was-
you use your judgment.
Right.
of what I
We-
trust your judgment if it needs to be confidential or not, okay?
Okay, just to say that we met with the new administrator from King William, had a very good meeting with her, a very, very positive. She had a lot of good questions. We tried to give as much good information as we could. Tried to be very upfront with, what some of the issues are, especially with Upper King William, and how we would like to, if King William stays in Pamunkey, how we would like to address the issues with Upper King William. I know that the administrators from the 3 counties are meeting, and we always say they're way above our pay grade.
Correct.
We're not privy to what's happening, other than that we've been told, kind of at the peripheral vision of it, that they've been positive so far. Those have been positive meetings. Don't ask me what positive means, that's what I've been told. So,
Jim will call you Saturday.
right.
I didn't attend that meeting.
And I know
I'm
that,
picking on him, well, I gotta pick on him.
I know that there's a group in King William that Fran and Mary are probably I know Fran's very much a part of it, I'm sure Mary is too, where we had been asked if we could present, and we were told by counties and by legal that it would be better for us to stay on the periphery of what's going on right now, that we didn't want to create any issues, possible issues, by us saying something that maybe shouldn't be said. And I don't even know what that saying would be, but and we hated that we had to do that, but we do feel that, we certainly would, I personally would support King William coming back, but I'm not making a statement for the board saying that. So, any other comments, questions about King William that you would like to add?
No.
Okay. Our next piece of business is we are going to go into a closed session. And this is to discuss a personnel matter that involves some library staff. So,
Madam Chair, I move that the Library Board of Trustees go into closed session pursuant to subdivision A1 of section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia to discuss a personnel matter involving library staff.
do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. Any discussion? Then I call for the question. Yes,
Oh, never mind.
yes. I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Do we have to do a
Opposed?
roll call?
Oh, we
Okay,
do. We
roll
have
call.
to do a roll call.
I was
Almost
saying
forgot
it's a
that.
roll
Thank
call.
you. I forgot that we had to do a roll call. Okay, Sharon, I'll let you,
Yes. Christy Schumacher?
Yes.
Barbara Young?
yes.
Joe O'Connor?
Yes.
Bob Johnson?
Yes.
Sharon Landrum, yes.
So the motion has passed, so we will go into closed session now. So
Can we take just a little?
we have a motion.
Yeah, so I move that the Library Board of Trustees certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, only that those public business matters lawfully exempt from the open meeting requirements, and so described in the earlier motion by which the closed meeting was convened, were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed session.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, and we do need to do a roll call vote again.
Yes.
Okay. Barbara Young?
Yes.
Christy Schumacher?
Yes.
Joe O'Connor?
Yes.
Sharon Landrum, yes. Bob Johnson?
Yes.
The motion has passed. We're back out of closed session and back into open session. And in that discussion is talking about maybe doing some research into
Well,
what we have and
We,
the way of
we
care.
don't need to do that research. The research will be done for us.
Yeah.
He's passed, our dear, dear friend, Jim McLaughlin, through the Sheriff's Department, did the analysis of every building and worked with all the jurisdictions to see that it was done. Because he did not go to Goochland, he did not go to the other branches, but the sheriff's departments and in every jurisdiction he had, did the analysis and decided where the camera should go.
It would not hurt to redo it again. to
Oh,
see
no,
that-
but,
yeah.
but when we say we do it, we don't need it.
Oh,
need-
not us, no,
Yeah.
we would find
And we-
someone who would do
Find
it.
somebody with the
Well, but-
expertise to do that.
But the, when I called Sheriff Hines, he said, we do it all the time. And they did it, it didn't take any time.
Well, they know what they're looking for. I wouldn't have a
Maybe,
problem.
Yeah, at the time, when we worked with the sheriff's office in Dominion, Block, who installed the cameras, we focused on entrances, exits to the building, anywhere where we were doing children's programming, circulation, any interaction, circulation desk interaction, and bathrooms, hallway bathrooms.
yeah.
Which, for the most part is, decent coverage. However, recently, we've needed exterior coverage at Atlee, some other interior coverage at Atlee. It's one of those things you don't know what you need
Where it's
until
gonna
you actually need that.
Does the Montpelier Library, the new one, have good coverage, or?
They decided to delay the camera installation until after they open. So there's
The county
right,
did,
So
but the county does plan to
They do,
install.
indeed.
cameras.
Yeah, and that that both the county and the library would have access to the footage.
Do I hear a motion for, to adjourn our meeting?